Right. And here that's right, Dave Petzo. I like that. We're starting with You Are Right. There we have it. Dave Petzo joining us, the Petzo Center, Petzo Financial, every Mondays right here on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Of course, Money Matters this Saturday, 8 to 10. We're just coming off a rather rambunctious Money Matters show. Your thoughts over the weekend as we get ready for another week of stocks, of markets, and soon to be the slowdown season.
Yeah, but huge week last week. And so I'll tell you, this is one of the things that I was really – we're up 4%, the best week by far this year, best week in over a year. It was a huge up week, and this was supposed to be all about trade tension, right, and the tariffs. And the trade tensions got worse. They got worse over the week, but the market rallied anyway. So now we have to put our finger in the wind and figure out which direction the wind is blowing. Wait a minute. Somebody tell me, why did the market do what it did? Oh, yeah, it's interest rates. And yet if interest rates are declining and we want a rate cut, that's because the economy is slow, and that's not good, ever. So when we got to be careful with this. So what I've been thinking about is, why in the world is the market doing what it's doing, and why are we thinking it's all about interest rates or it's all about trade? It's all about – it never is that simple to be about one simple thing. Otherwise, we would have gone lower last week, not higher.
Right, but isn't like this is the worst year since 2011 for the markets in general?
No, actually, it's not. The worst year? You mean the worst trailing 12 months?
Yeah.
We're up to like 11, 12% this year.
It's not what I'm reading.
Really?
I'm hearing it's not good for your beloved markets.
Well,
I'm going to have to find these articles.
You are going to have to, yeah. I'm going to actually have to have you figure that out.
Right, I'll actually have some facts with my statements.
That would be good. Why not?
Right.
How about that 2018 was the worst year since 2011? Well, okay? But certainly this year hasn't been. It's been a great year.
Right.
We only had one losing month, and all the rest have been on fire.
Okay.
Okay.
Dave, duly noted. Duly withdrawn.
Hey,
the question is withdrawn, Your Honor. Let's get to some issues here. Over the weekend, and you and I have talked about this before, and people, we would love to hear you call in at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Our friend, his name is Nathan Barry. And Nathan Barry has founded this company called ConvertKit. And he had this conference where he invited all these creators from all over the country to Boise, Idaho. He did it last year. He had Seth Rogen in, or Seth Godwin, the bald guy that does all the books.
No, Seth's
right.
A guru.
Yeah, he had him in. And this week he had this over the weekend at Jump. He brought all these people to Boise, Idaho, the craft conference. He has a company called ConvertKit, and if you're ever familiar with these programs that give you the email and all those sort of things. Sure. This is very user-friendly for blogs and stuff. And the guy is doing incredibly well. He has, he's a young guy in his 20s. And it's amazing that here you have, as we've talked about, these digital entrepreneurs. And, we've tried to, we've had Nathan Barry on the program. We'd love to get Nathan on again to talk about this. You also have ClickFunnels with Russell Brunson over there by Chinden. We've reached out to him several times, can't get him on. But you have, let me just focus on Nathan Barry for a minute. Here you have all these people coming, and you're paying like $1,000 or $900 or $800 to come in and hear these seminars and such at Jump.
Right.
Now, this is a big deal because he's bringing people to Boise, Idaho. He's bringing people to Idaho. And, again, huge sessions. Apparently it was a big success. Your thoughts on these people that we don't know much about? You've got Matt Rissell at T-Sheets. He's lecturing people in Europe now, talking about his company being acquired. I know people that work at T-Sheets. They say, dude, this is the best place to work. They take care of you. So these digital entrepreneurs that don't get a lot of headlines,
right?
But if you go on social media, they're rock stars.
Exactly. And that's really, as we're entering or have entered, not entering, the digital age, you're going to see more and more of that. And because there's a excuse me, Kevin.
You want to here? You can grab a cup of coffee here. We're very informal, talking about these digital entrepreneurs with our great friend Dave Petzo on KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. So here we have again 300, 400 people coming to Jump,
right,
just to hear people speak.
Exactly. Well, you had that happen this past week. I was at a conference. People come from all over the country for various reasons. Now, in this particular case, where we're talking about this with the digital age, these folks now have a platform where they are recognized, where in the past, the speakers were always people that wrote a book, they were pretty famous, they were TV stars, things like that would be your speakers. Now you have business folks that are out there on an ongoing basis, and Seth Godin basically kind of starts online. That's how he's built his obviously he's got a dozen or more books, but the point there is he's always daily online and has built an audience from that. So, again, with the digital age, you have digital awareness from people, but you also have a whole new cast of characters out there, and you're right, they're the millennials.
Right, but they're doing it here in Idaho, which I find very inspiring, that you have people, like Mr. Barry and others, who are bringing people into Jump.
Yep.
And you got, that's a big name to have old Seth here last year, 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, that's not cheap. That's not cheap for sure. That's a very expensive ticket, I'm sure. He's very well known. But yes, I agree with you, Kevin. I think it's really neat that we have this kind of growth in Boise has created that. Growth is good. We talk all the time about how the roads are crowded and things like that, and we have the growth problems, but this is also why people want to live here. They want to live here for the biking and the hiking and the beauty of this area.
Sure, but on the other hand, we had a major embarrassment over the weekend. On Friday, the freeway shut down. We had a truck carrying sand overturned. People couldn't get anywhere from one area to the other. I mean, we're talking about people being on 84 for 3, 4, 5 hours.
Yep.
It resembled California, not Idaho.
Yeah, and that's going to be the negative of the growth for sure. But people are moving here. They want to move here. Like I said, I was at a conference in California over most of last week, and talking with people in California. It's the same problem. One guy went 85 miles, took him over 3 hours to get there. Because some of the people did obviously come to the conference from California. It's that way everywhere, all over California, and we have that from time to time here. There's no way.
No, well, the problem is I don't think it's acceptable.
Well, what do you think we're going to do about it?
I think this is a major crisis, and the state of Idaho, with all due respect, and ACHD and the Highway Department, this is a crisis because, God forbid, what would have happened if there had been an emergency? You can't just say, well, you're going to be stuck on a highway for 3 or 4 hours. Apparently, the sand truck driver, from what we heard, somebody cut him off. He didn't want to hit him, so he swerved. And then all of a sudden, the highway shut down. There's got to be alternate sources. I mean, there's got to be places to go. You can't just say, well, here we are. There's got to be ways of you getting in detours. One way in, one way out just doesn't cut it anymore.
Well, there are going to be places where there is one way in, one way out. There's no way if you're blocked in behind. But I agree with you. I can't imagine it was literally there was no way to run people down through the median and get them moving, or over on the one side. Or the whole highway was blown up. I agree. It's 3 or 4 or 5 hours or whatever is too long a time. But the reality is you can't have an exit every 50 feet.
No, you can't have an exit, but there has to be a better way of doing this. Another alternate route is what I'm saying. It's time to build another highway. It's time to build something else. If you're going to have this many people, I just don't think that it's unacceptable.
Yeah, well, we're not going to build another highway, but if you and I, we both know if we were heading down that way, and would have heard about it or been smart enough to Google it before we left, we certainly would have taken, Overland or Franklin or something to get around it.
Those areas were clogged up as well. So Dave Petzo joining us, defending the Highway Department.
I'm not really defending the Highway
defending
Department.
the department. I like what you said. If you would have known, look, if you're driving and the truck turns over, you can't really know, can you?
You can't know, and you're not going to have an exit every 50
so
feet.
You're going to be
so we're not going to have an alternate route.
So we're going to lose all this industry because of this. I just think that this is a great warning sign for the state of Idaho that things got to be looked at. You can't just welcome people in without building more infrastructure.
Well, Kevin, you and I don't disagree on that at all. You and I both have talked about this for years about how it's just not planned well, and we have so many, if you will, choke points, and the choices that we make for what roads to work on are seriously laughable at times. So it does seem like a very weird approach to how and what. Maybe the mayor lives up on the bench and wants to ride down his bicycle and needs a bike lane on Americana or something. But how we make choices like that over places that really need it, I don't get. I just don't get that. But we are trying to play catch up, Kevin, and this is a first world problem. Growth is not bad. If we don't want growth, then you can go live in Weiser, and I don't want to pick on Weiser. It's just a classic case of a dying town.
There we have it. Dave Pezzo joining us here. Kevin Miller in the morning. Your calls next. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Talking growth, talking gas prices. Gas prices are lowering nationally. When will that happen here in the Gem State? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And taking a look at your money, Kevin Miller in the morning. Dave Pezzo joining us, the Pezzo Center, Pezzo Financial. Check him out online anytime, Facebook, Twitter. Here we have some bad news if you're going to fly. American Airlines extends cancellations from grounded Boeing 737 MAX to September 3rd. We've already detailed the impact it's having on Southwest. Now American as well. Can we expect prices to go up, Dave Pezzo?
Sure. Anytime there's a limit, a limiting factor to how much capacity they have, especially during the summer busy season, you can expect prices to inch up a little bit. Overall capacity is really not limited that much. It's a newsworthy item, but that's about all it is. It's not going to really affect these companies that much. Or your ability to fly. It might affect your ability to fly from one particular place to another, but that's it. It's not going to be on a national basis anything that is an impediment to the overall economy because of limiting travel and cutting back on tourism.
Let me ask you a question. Your thoughts on the weed, and not from a Kevin Miller opinion point of view, but the business of weed. We've got the paper seemingly cheering on what's going on in Ontario. The pot shops haven't been opened up yet. Thankfully, it looks like the city or state is really going over the regulations. You have people spending a ton of money on advertising, trying to seep the revenue out of the Gem State. Mm-hmm. So the business of weed, not so much political. I mean, it's illegal federally. The banks won't touch it.
Yep.
If you're in the military, law enforcement, they will not hire you. And yet you have people seemingly making a lot of money off of it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's and everybody's talking about how it's going to be the next big thing. And from the perspective of Wall Street, pot stocks are traded. They've been traded around. They're just trading vehicles where people are trying to catch something to run up from $40 to $140 real quickly. There was a company called Tilray, which is actually a real company in Canada, and their stock came out somewhere around $20. I think it ran on up to $40 to $60, and then it just took off. And in one day, it went from $150 to $300 and back to $150. Now, that's ridiculous and such volatility. But that tells you, too, there was no story there. There's no earnings. There's no, it wasn't a reason. So the stocks are being traded because people think they're going to get rich, no different than Bitcoin or other ridiculous things where people just think that it's going to be something I'm going to get rich very quickly on. But as far as the business, it's very real, Kevin, and we're going to see companies like Constellation Brand. They took a position in a pot company. I don't know which one it was, but they took a big position in it. So it's revalued the whole sector up, and people are rethinking about whether they're going to see CBD oils in their Coca-Colas and things like that. So that's what they're working on, and they have distribution. If they do legalize it, you will see Constellation and others from Coca-Cola on down putting it inside of our drinks and creating new concoctions.
It's when you take a look at the whole CBD oil thing, different from the marijuana, all of a sudden CBD oil is the magic elixir.
Yeah.
Now, in the old days, in some degree, I still follow the bodybuilding, the fitness community. Now you have people in that community, of course, their mainstay is selling supplements, swearing that CBD oil will help you recover and everything else. Not disavowing it, people swear by it, but on the other hand, now it's going to cure everything.
Yeah. I think that's obviously that's what people like to say, especially if they're selling it. But the reality is that we haven't tested this stuff, and I think that's the scrutiny that it's never gone through. It's just because it's organic, the way that poison ivy is organic, I guess. But it's not something we necessarily want to rub all over ourselves or ingest day after day. But maybe we do. I just wish they would really have some grueling testing, like we do if you're trying to sell an aspirin.
Let's keep that conversation going on CBD oil, traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave. Back with our friend Dave Pezzo here, talking about the business of CBD oil and everything else. There was a fascinating part in the gubernatorial race, and it had to do with CBD oil. And here you had Brad Little, soon-to-be elected governor, getting pounded by both Tommy Ahlquist and Raul Labrador, and it was over CBD oil. And essentially, the lieutenant governor at the time, echoed your comments when he was saying, I want the feds to do it. I want it federally approved. Then it will come in. And you have people in and around the Treasure Valley selling CBD oil. There was a big story. Hey, they opened up a wagon at the mall. Of course, it closed after 2 weeks. We don't know why. Then you have, Raul Labrador, Tommy Ahlquist saying, no, we should let it in. And I couldn't believe, the lieutenant governor at the time stood up to them, and that seems to be the state's philosophy, because the supplement business is not regulated.
Right.
You and I could go to Jeff the Suit's office and come up with our own supplements. We could cook CBD oil in a bathtub.
Yep.
And it wouldn't matter.
Exactly.
So echoing your comments about the feds regulating.
Well, and at least it has to be tested. I just don't understand this rush to put things in our bodies just because it might be. Now, if you're dying of cancer, put whatever you want in your body. I understand that. But the idea that we just ought to be running around and telling people that it will help you recover from all of your weightlifting more quickly. It'll help all your joints. It'll help this. It reminds me of the
snake oil salesman.
Snake oil salesman, right? And the charlatans on TV, the pitching shiny, flashy light things because then you won't need a knee surgery. What a joke! But at the same time, is it true? I don't know. Let's have some testing. How long would it take? 6 months, a year? We should have 90% of the testing we need done. And everybody wants this all around the country. Then let's test it. That's all. And I don't know. The feds will take 10 years to get around to figuring out what department they should be, reporting to. So I don't think the feds necessarily need to do it, but we should have somebody doing some testing with great scrutiny, and I wish it was the FDA, but because they're used to this, that would be something they can do. We can streamline drug testing for people that have cancer. Why can't we just get this in this one little thing and find out what CBD oil is? You make a claim about it, prove it. That's all. Just prove it before we all start selling it to people and then find out later maybe it wasn't such a good thing. Or even, best case, it didn't do anything. Well, why are we spending enormous amounts of money? We don't let people rip people off. Let's find out what it does.
Our great friend Dave Pezzo joining us. We started with digital entrepreneurs. We'll end on digital entrepreneurs. The founder of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
A teenager. He was a teenager.
When he did it, the Japanese guy.
No, another guy. American.
The founder of Bitcoin.
The guy that came up with the blockchain, everything. Had the guys that invested in Facebook. It was called Bit something or other originally, and it went belly up, and then he came up with the Bitcoin. You're thinking of the Japanese guy, and it's funny, not to get too inside, we're going to let everybody in. There was a paper written by Suki Ushi or something like that.
Exactly.
I apologize for that. No one knows who this person was.
They think they know, but they're not sure.
That came up with this whole philosophy. Well, you had this kid that adopted it. Then he had this business. It went belly up, but out of that came Bitcoin. He did time in jail, and now he had the Winkle brothers from Facebook invest in him and stuff. But yeah, I just saw a fascinating show on that. I think it was 60 Minutes, and here you have a kid in his basement coming up with it. He was making billions on Bitcoin, and now built Bitcoin back up to what, about $8,000 a Bitcoin now?
Kevin, I don't know. I don't follow it that closely, but that sounds right because it's definitely, it was in free fall and now it's come back. I just don't follow it closely, but 8,000 sounds maybe okay.
Well, the cryptocurrency continues on, right?
It does. No, actually, the science behind it, the engineering, whatever, is going to be huge, Kevin. The blockchain stuff is huge for crypto. If we have one more minute, I'll tell you that one of the things that was fascinating about this conference I went to also was the people talking about technology. It's not, and cybersecurity. It's not all bad news. We're doing a pretty good job. And they're doing a better job hacking in. I get that. But there's also things with this blockchain and all that just around the corner. It's going to get better. And we're going to be, they say that it's not going to be something that you can hack into. And it certainly sounds so complex that I would agree with that, but because I don't know better. But at the same time, we certainly are making things much more secure than they were. It's not that people won't fall for frauds, but at the same time, there is really great hope out there, and that was a big takeaway for me on the cybersecurity side.
And there we have it, Dave Pezzo talking about cybersecurity. Satoshi Nakamoto.
Good for you. Good job.
So much more on that. Whether it's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Zcash, we're all over it. Dave Pezzo, the Pezzo Center. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug. I don't know about you, but sometimes you just hear that and you want to shake your shoulders. Rachel Sutherland joining us from Fox News Radio exclusively on KIDO Talk Radio. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
So, good weekend, bad weekend. Did you do something fun?
I did. I had a good weekend. It was a little rainy here in D.C., but yeah, it was a nice weekend.
That's great. I watched the folks in Iowa talk for 2 or 3 minutes about how they can be a better president than Donald Trump. So sounds like you had a better weekend than I did.
Yeah, that was quite a scene there. I guess it got like maybe 5 minutes each, and it was just pretty much one right after the other.
And Rachel, you've been on the trail, and these guys in Iowa, they were very focused. At 2 minutes, 3 minutes, the music started playing, and it was almost like they were bringing the hook out for those folks.
Yeah, you have to keep them moving with that many candidates. And, of course, your state is super important with the Iowa caucuses. And so, I mean, get used to it, Kevin. They're going to be around.
They are going to be around. Let's talk a little bit about Mexico and the tariffs. A big story, the president responding, boom, boom, boom. What's the react?
Well, right now, Mexico seems to be fairly hopeful about all this, although we are hearing from them that to bring it all the way down to zero is going to be mission impossible. But we've already heard that there's been some arrests on this beast train, if you've heard about that, coming up through Mexico, where migrants cling to the top of it as it races by like something out of a movie. Some of them even are killed in this process. But we understand that train was stopped and there were some arrests made. So some progress. I mean, it wasn't a ton of people, but some progress there in seeing Mexico take action. And so the president's still basically saying, look, if this doesn't work out, if we don't see a reduction of people crossing the southern border, then the tariffs are still on the table. So we could be hearing about this again in the future.
Indeed. Of course, you have the president going after the Democrats going after the president, the New York Times and the president going after each other. Boy, we talk about conflict theory. It seems to be happening. Absolutely.
This New York Times article claims that this deal to send about 6,000 troops to the Guatemalan border, or I should say National Guard troops, has been in the works for some time. But essentially what they're saying, that the deal was old news and that all this was in place before the president even threatened tariffs. But, the delegation from Mexico basically hopped on planes as soon as the president started, rumbling about tariffs. So it wouldn't make sense for them to be so agitated if there was already a deal in the works. But the president calling that, I believe this is the new one, sick journalism.
As opposed to fake news.
No, we called it fake news earlier. But yeah, then he added sick journalism later.
And apparently over the weekend, he was mad at MSNBC. The president, I have to admire him. He's got some mad TV watching skills.
He does. He is definitely watching all the shows, even if he kind of claims he doesn't. He does, and we know because he practically live tweets our morning shows. But yeah, I think he was pretty upset with a new book that's out that attacks him. So,
the Michael Wolff book, is that the
yeah,
deal?
the Wolff book. Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
I haven't read the first one. I bought it, but I haven't read it like a dope. Rachel, it sounds like you're going to be busy all week. We sure appreciate you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Rachel Sutherland. Kevin Miller in the morning. So here we have it. The libs want to replace the president, and they want to impeach him. Which is it, everybody?
Stuck in the mud on impeachment.
The politics right now, impeachment, talk about impeachment.
A formal impeachment process. She doesn't want to see Trump impeached. She wants to see him in prison. 68 people in support of beginning an impeachment inquiry. The vast majority of the base of the Democratic Party wants impeachment. Now, 76% of Democrats polled say start an impeachment inquiry. Is impeachment actually potentially good politics?
Whether or not impeachment or proceedings or opening an inquiry is the right next step.
House only solution on impeachment.
Start this impeachment proceedings.
We should begin impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump.
I think that this president should be impeached.
I believe that the Judiciary Committee should begin impeachment inquiries.
I believe that the president deserves to be impeached.
I feel like we have a moral obligation now to investigate this president. Impeachment proceedings will give us more legal leverage.
We need to begin impeachment proceedings.
76% say impeach.
Going hard on impeachment.
Where they are on impeachment.
Right there, Jonathan, because I'm going to come back to say impeach.
The base of the Democratic Party believes that impeachment is removal. Impeachment is not removal. She just doesn't want to see the president impeached. She wants to see him in prison. The Clinton impeachment is an inevitability.
They started impeachment inquiry.
Democratic logjam on impeachment.
To start this impeachment proceedings.
Start of impeachment proceedings in prison, but not impeached. Wary of impeachment is to end a presidency, the power of impeachment and start an impeachment trial.
Power to try impeachments.
Most impeachable offenses were committed. Now,
there's an impeachment inquiry looking to the possibility of impeaching when you're engaged in an impeachment inquiry.
Of impeaching Donald Trump, but the House is going to impeach Donald Trump committed impeachable offenses.
Oh, my goodness. This is why I love radio. It's such a more effective communicative venue than television. Impeachment. That's all they have because the world is respecting the United States of America and they're respecting Donald Trump. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. That's all they have is impeachment. Patriot Ray joins us now. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Patriot Ray.
Good morning. All you hear is impeach. And the only reason they want to impeach him is because they know of the crimes they've committed, and he's starting to seek them out, and they're scared to death. And if he gets reelected, they're even more scared. So they've got to keep pushing this narrative. And if they can get the sheeple, the ones who just follow blindly and don't look for anything themselves, or read the news, or look how good the economy is going, or look what he's done for the black individuals that we love so much and help our friends and help everybody. He's doing more than any of those have ever done in the years and years that they've been in office. He has accomplished more. So when we hear them say impeach, they're just scared, and they're like dogs with their tails tucked between their legs, and they're just doing everything they can to keep from getting caught themselves. So we need to go after them, and we need to start talking. Impeachment needs to be for those who are screaming impeachment. Let's get that done. That's what needs to happen in the United States today.
What do you make of this, where all they keep saying is impeach, and they have nothing else? They don't have a viable candidate. They continue to try and cover up what happened with Hillary Clinton. And from what we understand, the FBI did a documents drop that hasn't been reported that's saying that Hillary Clinton should have been charged concerning the documents, concerning everything else that happened with the bleach bid and everything else.
Well, with all the investigation on the president for collusion, they had collusion right in front of their faces, and they keep burying it. And that's with Obama, and that's with Clinton, that's with Schumer, Pelosi, and all of those who for years, let's talk about security of the United States, For years, they talked about we need to build a wall. And then as soon as we get a president who says we're going to build a wall, then it becomes immoral. Then it becomes the wrong thing to do. Everything he's done that they used to say they wanted, he's been doing, and now they say it's wrong. So they're just scratching because all they want to do is, Kevin, is really all they want is to be reelected because they got a cushy job. Now they want to give themselves another raise. Wouldn't you love to be able to just tell your boss, hey, I'm getting a $10,000 raise, whether you like it or not?
Right.
We are the boss of them. They're not our bosses. We've got to put a stop to this insanity and get back to what the founding fathers wanted, which they would not serve a lifetime. They would only be there for a few years, and then they would go home and serve their people, which is what they're supposed to be doing up there, serving their constituents, not looking for gifts that they can get to their country. We're going to build a bridge. We know where we're going to put it, but we're going to get the money for it. Those are the insane things they do. So I appreciate you so much. It's so great to wake up in the morning and hear Kevin Miller and some people out there who have common sense and understand what's really going on in the world with the political realm that we're feeling their hierarchy where they think they have control over us. We've got to set that straight. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
God bless you, Patriot Ray. Take care.
You bet. We will talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. Coming up next, it happened over the weekend. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. This is something that Dave Petzo and I talked about earlier at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Is it time to overhaul the entire transportation system in the Treasure Valley? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. All right, rolling right along. Remember that big story about the CBD oil kiosk at the mall? Well, they left. According to published reports, sales were higher than expected, and the owners of the business realized they could no longer operate out of the kiosk, paying the rate they started at because of too much money. Quote, once you go over a certain revenue, it becomes not inexpensive very quickly. So less than 2 weeks at the mall, these folks that live in Baker City, Oregon, will be giving themselves the boot and going to a different location. Apparently, they're going to open up a shop in Meridian. I don't know. And apparently, the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas is very upset and may cease and desist order. We'll get into that coming up next hour with you. But back to an issue that hit all of us last week. Last week, and people can make light of it. They can joke about it. Most likely, if you were making a joke about it, you weren't the one stuck in the traffic, right? You weren't the one that was stuck for hours in the traffic because, unfortunately, we had an accident. We had a truck hauling sand overturn, blocking the lanes of the connector.
Mimic is a gimmick.
Boy, I missed that one. And traffic was stopped. People couldn't believe that this has happened to Idaho. People couldn't believe that this happened on an early Friday afternoon. Just stuck. Now, most of the elected officials, most of the people that are in charge of a road say, guys, this is going to happen. Why do we always accept the statements from our elected officials? Do they, and our appointed officials, do they hold us hostage when it comes to, at 580-5436, just the substandard infrastructure that we have here? And certainly they don't hold us hostage when it comes to paying our taxes. You either pay the taxes or you get the boot from your house. And people are saying, well, we need Prop 13, which essentially would freeze the taxes. I don't know if I want government intervention, but I want, and I'm sure that you want, return on your investment when it comes to paying your road taxes, your gas taxes. Now, thank goodness that someone didn't need medical services. Someone wasn't trapped in an ambulance. Someone wasn't having a baby. Someone wasn't in desperate need to get to a hospital. And basically, everybody just griped about being stuck in traffic. In most people's America, which reflects the own standards of conduct that they have at home and work, there needs to be a solution. And we have been the tip of the spear. You've been the tip of the spear for quite some time on this one at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. This is a call to action that our transportation system needs an overhaul. Tom in Boise joins us now with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tom.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. I just want to let you know I was 2 cars back heading westbound when he came eastbound and jumped the divider. And he had 2 segments, sand truck. One segment dumped on one side of the highway, the other segment dumped on the other side of the highway. So it really pretty much blocked only 2 lanes on either side. And I'm not going to be too critical of them. They had to do what they had to do. Fire department had to clean up the diesel and all that fuel spill, the hazmat involved and all that. But I didn't see any problem with letting at least 2 lanes be open or the shoulder of the road open. So when I returned eastbound, I had to drive all the way down to Amity. It took me at least an hour to get home. So I think they should do a review, and it could have done a little bit better, but at least like I said, it's going to happen, but I think it could have had at least 2 lanes open either way.
Did you see what caused the accident?
No, I just saw the sand truck go up in the air and dump the sand all over the place, and dust and everything going up in the air, and people did a really great job of not hitting each other and just kind of scattered like roaches, and went off the side and immediate, like Idahoans are, immediate trying to aid and assist, and got the guy out with no injuries, and there was at least 8 people, helping get the guy out and so forth. And so, I think the Idahoans did a phenomenal job of responding and taking care of the truck driver and anybody else that needed assistance.
What about my point about coming up with some type of other system? Have we reached a point where we need some type of alternate, thoroughfare, for lack of a better term?
Well, I've always said I wish trucks had their own highway, or at least stick to a certain side. But I think all of us are trying to stay away from the big rigs. But we pay a lot of taxes. I know I do, and I call your show and complain about the taxes and what we can possibly do about that. And I think it's time to reassess and see what other cities are doing right and what maybe we can learn from that as far as the highways, because I think we take a long time to shut down the highways, and our projects seem to go on forever, and that's got to cost us more. And so there's places that they'll shut down, and overnight it seems like the highway's been revamped. So there's things that we can learn from other cities that we might need to investigate and apply here. We're growing. It's time.
Well, I'm glad you made it through, and thanks for the report on KIDO Talk Radio, Tom.
Thanks, Kevin. Have a good morning.
You too. Appreciate it. Traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Dave. And I'm Kevin Miller. Coming up next hour, more of your thoughts about the adequate or inadequate transportation system here in the Treasure Valley. In addition to that, we've got frustration in Ontario, Oregon. Apparently, the pot shops are not opening up fast enough. That's right. The pot shops are not opening up fast enough, and they're very upset, the purveyors of the pot. So we'll get your thoughts on that and what we can do to keep Idaho drug-free. That is our mission, and that is our statement. We can't wait to hear what you have to say on those stories and much, much more coming up right after Fox News. Of course, the latest on Fox, you've got Kellyanne Conway saying the Democrats want a redo over the Mueller report. They continue to say, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. How many times are they going to have to go over this before they find out there's nothing there, Kellyanne?
They're still investigating. They're calling John Dean and others to testify today while this president is securing our southern border and waiting for this Congress to vote on the USMCA, which will modernize NAFTA, which is totally outdated.
Right on, Kellyanne. Waking up on the right side. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.